how long we're going to go today, but we're going to go as long as you guys are having some fun, as long as I'm talking and making a little bit of sense. I don't think I need to be fully coherent. I don't think I need to be, waxing from the mouths of, whoever it is, waxing from, waxing in the way that we do. And so, as it were, the title of the stream tonight is Trump, MAGA, and all of us have been in prison since 2024. Wow, crazy stuff, isn't it? Crazy stuff. I think I don't intentionally steal these topics, but I think part of me actually steals these topics. Going up, it's going down, it's going some direction, folks. Let's see, going up, going down. Cool. So my name's Duck. Online I go by Duck. In real life I go by Nathan. Welcome to the live stream. And yeah, it has been a whirlwind day in the news. And, for these politicians that claim they want to keep you informed, the politicians that say we have things to talk about together, there's always something new. It's the fast moving sort of pace of the internet and the whatnot. I have to be honest, it's days like today that remind me why I sometimes go off the grid. I turn my phone off. I go dark. I stop going on other social media. It's one of the reasons I stopped live streaming for a couple months. I wasn't really committed to YouTube. I feel like I'm getting closer to being back. We've gone live almost every day for the last couple weeks. You guys have been a huge part of that, so thank you so much. In the last month, we've picked up about 200 new subscribers, and so that's hopefully good for you guys. It means that, if I'm streaming at a weird time of day, there's a better chance, a familiar name or something is going to be chatting with you guys. And then it also, hopefully, you guys should have more information about the type of content I do. I redid the sort of description. I'm not really trying to do like serious updates and stuff like at the start of the stream, but, just in regards to being able to talk about some politics questions, in as serious of a way as we can, or as serious of a way as you guys want. Doing some of the things that we can to not be deep state shills, but also be building that sort of mutual respect. As a friendly reminder, I have a degree in political science from a U.S. university. And so I learn all the time from you guys, from Discord. I learn from flipping onto my own algorithm on YouTube, and I like bringing some of those topics up. And so today in the news, we have more BS from the MAGA Trump administration, encouraging you guys and encouraging myself to be bigger and bigger fans of war when we do not have to be. The one story that really struck a nerve with me, and I know I don't always show my excitement, but this one really got to me, is Fox News putting up a video of the U.S., pointing a machine gun, one of these big, high caliber military style weapons at the engine of an Iranian boat in the Strait of Hormuz. And if you recall what the Strait of Hormuz looks like, you've got these long waterways on account of the oceans being the oceans and the continents being the continents. And then you have this little loop here, right? And so nothing too holy or sacred regarding this, about, I get to buy my Nike shoes, or I get to buy my a gallon of milk or something like this. However, it is just very odd thinking that while this is happening, you have the entire oceans underneath them. Coral reefs, who knows? These giant boats are going over coral reefs and stuff. Yeah, we should be a little pissed about that. I'd want to know about one of those. Maybe that's a good banana for scale about how woke, quote unquote, I am, is that if you drive over, one fish that you hit that you didn't need to hit, maybe you get sad seeing barnacles go up on these big boats, and you're saying, well, geez, if there's a loss of any sort of life here, maybe there's a better way to do it. But also, I just like to be informed. It's kind of better to know than to not know. We're seeing this video of a military Black Hawk helicopter. These are helicopters designed to carry attack forces like Delta Force, Green Berets, and other sort of airborne crews. And they also have these attack capabilities. You have forward-facing weapons and stuff like this. Anyways, so Donald Trump wanted the world to know, hey, if Pete Hegseth wants to show you the video, we'll show you how we become the pirates. And this is Donald Trump's humor. This is Donald Trump taking back the narrative. The United States telling us that we can become the pirates. This is so funny. Donald Trump seems to think he's a prankster. He can say, well, look, if China and BRICS aren't playing fair, hi, everyone. I'll come through comments in just a couple minutes. I'll start at the top and say hi. But yeah, I see Sloppies. Thank you so much for tuning in. Casper, good to see everyone. And then we have, yeah, Sir Max D, shout out. I'll let that one through, guys. We try to watch our language. Check the channel rules when you guys come into chat. But yeah, and so Donald Trump making jokes at the expense of, who was it again? Yeah, it's Donald Trump making jokes at your expense, at the expense of human lives, at the expense of animal lives, at the expense of lives of people all over the world. So the U.S. is now pirating Iranian ships. We're threatening to shoot the engine blocks down, board these ships, seize them, and basically throw the crew in prison until whatever date this president believes he's allowed to do that. No, I'm not Canadian. No, I'm not a European dude. I'm an American, and I also disagree with this. Yeah, I'm kind of red-blooded. I had family in the military, but I'm also educated, right? I'm also educated like a lot of people are, and I try to use that. And so someone saying F Donald Trump, yeah, a lot of times those emotes I think are right? Because they're the most honest thing that a person can say or do. You know, Donald Trump is expecting us, to go to Breitbart and these conspiracy websites, go to Reddit, go to Quora. I ain't going to hammer that down too much. I know it's madness, it's absurdity. However, we should be open and transparent that these situations are really hard to understand. What's not hard to understand is people not acting in your best interest or in the interest of world peace. And so, absolutely, fuck Donald Trump. I'll say it. You know, I'm still kind of working on understanding what's going on right now. And I echo that sentiment. You know, this guy has been in jail since 2024, and it's high time that we stop pretending like we're friends with an administration that they themselves are dropping out of school. They themselves dropping out of college. They themselves getting speeding tickets. They themselves can't really manage anything productive or good. To me, that's also honesty. I don't need you telling me where I have to buy my bed linens or where I have to buy my wall art, you know, the paintings behind me, my sneaker shoes, because you yourself are telling people like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a big deal to someone, you know? Think of the barnacles, Mr. Trump. Tim Boy's on that Trump train. Hey, tell me where the station is. Tell me where it picks you up, you know? I didn't see it. I saw it at the corner of 5th and Hatred. Just to be totally frank with you, Tim Boy. You know, and so if I'm checking out for the evening, I'd say that, yeah, MAGA wanted to pick you up at his own schools. He wanted to pick you up with his, his own people, you know, this fake persona that he's like the Teflon Don or something like this. The reality is, yeah, the guy just wanted to make money. He's nepotistic, and he'll find any excuse he can to lie to you. At some level, that's still true. Otherwise, what would happen? Well, he wouldn't be putting his son-in-law in charge of Palestine. What does that even mean? You know, his son-in-law's in charge of Palestine. No, free Palestine, stop the genocide. Let's get some peace to the Israeli people, get some peace to the Lebanese. Let's get some peace to the Palestinians. We will get to that story just briefly because I do have to say something. YouTube Stabworthy says, I'm banned from the park. They said we're a nuisance to the ducks. Geez Louise, I guess it's my fault for bringing my purebred dog. Well, shoosh. I mean, if you bring your purebred dog and you want to talk to ducks about something, I reckon that they would have a different type of conversation. Ducks are pretty smart, right? They're birds. They're very fast-moving creatures. And so one of the things that I think you can align on is, yeah, you know, dogs can be nice too. Dogs can be social with other species, not in the same sense humans are, but every dog that's an attack dog don't mean that it's got to, go chase after an animal, become a hunting dog. Will I go protest? Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday. If they do protests in my area and I can afford to go out, I might go do. I would go do that. You know, that would be fun. You know, with or without the phone, just showing some support to people who are thinking of whatever peace might be like. Free Palestine, cool. Most people are so slow. Hey, Sloshy Will, I'll try to keep up. I got to keep up with you guys and keep up with all these thoughts going on in my head. DNA Mindset Matters says hi. It's giving Irish. Cool. I don't know what that means. Shout out to Ireland. Shout out to our Irish, British friends and all this other stuff. And yeah. Hey, what's going on, Noah? Good to see you. What do I think of Israel? Well, I think Donald Trump saying that we're placing a constraint so Israel can no longer go attack Palestine is something that we should take into account. Is this an important? It's sort of important. Donald Trump truly has no say on the sovereignty of Israel. And the United States, as much as we do have a lot of influence in the region, we don't really have influence on the larger security protocols of a region that is not our own. That is not the, and the fact is that while the US has invested really heavily in the region, and we shouldn't undermine or downplay or make smaller the actually scope of focus that presidents prior to Trump, including Donald Trump himself in 2016, placed on the Middle East, it's very large. It's a lot. You could be one of these guys that, is reading for days and days. You're going to watch old YouTube videos and you still wouldn't understand how deeply embedded the United States is in the Middle East. However, it's a good thing. It is a good thing that if we can bring a pause to the fighting, that's a good thing. It's just really bad when the voting public in a democracy is somehow attributing, this drunk, right, this criminal in Donald Trump, a war criminal, to stopping a conflict in Lebanon. This is today's news. Donald Trump is now bullish. He's really big on getting Israel to stop bombing Lebanese people, getting it back to a political process. This is what I personally have been talking about. I think most political theorists or scientists, like the really good guys, would say, yeah, that's the right thing, right? Return it to a political process because people don't fight and die. Then a society can do things that aren't war. And so good for him, but you have to beg the question that if Donald Trump's stretching us out to here, and we never actually got to the point where Israel and Lebanon agreed to start fighting and Donald Trump just said stop, well, why isn't it the case that we had this in the first place? There's still regional issues that have to do with the borders, the people in charge, the political parties that have been elected for the last 10 years. Oh my gosh, yeah, it can be overwhelming. It's much simpler to decide to commit to that political process. Myself, personally, I believe that was what the initial ceasefire was about, was a commitment to the political process. And we saw in places like Syria, this has been working. You just go with the ruling party, and by and large, while there are sectarian and ethnic differences, religious differences, by and large, we see a lot of buy-in and commitment and support that the government is in some sense transitional. And it's difficult, after the US withdrawal, and I'll mention this because we have people all over the world, so I don't want to seem like I'm cutting any of these short. After the US withdrawal from Iraq and Afghanistan, we did see both of those countries return back to forms of government that were closer to what was in place before, and they have done so organically. A lot of this has gotten them in trouble on the world stage. However, there's not really in that, while I can say, I'm a liberal, free market, democratic capitalist, and so I don't agree with everything. I don't agree that there's still, Kurdistan and things like this. But I can actually, there's no actually real strong critique other than people that have maybe been hurt by the regime and hurt by, religious norms that are pushing down, exerting pressure. But the US can't just solve that overnight. We proved that once. And so shout out again to Ireland. I'm going to go through some comments, guys. Teflon Don is toxic. Yeah, Teflon itself is it's like this weave material, right? So, you've got different weave and fiber strengths. And I believe, there's probably someone in here that likes that stuff, but it is a material that sits on your body. And there's various tensile strengths, and therefore, it can stop certain things or whatever. What do you think of Israel and its people? I sort of answered that. Yeah, shout out. People. I think it's to say that they're. I would just emphasize Israeli people are not unlike any other people, but also the unique culture that comes from having been in diaspora. Some shared values. I think I would just guess that. There's some subset of Israeli society and, just people raised Jewish that value things like higher education. And so it's just ironic because that's true in Iran as well. So it's why aren't, if the morons can't lead the country, why aren't the other morons leading the countries, right? Why can't we do that? I helped organize the Freedom Convoy to end the mandates. That's pretty cool. Anyone else gooning? Hey, Tim. What happened to Gaza was horrible. Gaza, destroyed. Yeah, destroyed. Do you know that Vigo really broke his toe when the kick and shield played against Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings? I didn't know that. Hello, sir. How are you? Hey, Michelle. I'm good. Shout out to you. Hey, Duck, don't give up. What? Yeah, hell yeah. Things are more like they used to be than they are now. Things are more like they used to be than they are now. Oh, cool. Yeah, the circular economy is really what's broken. When we think of why Gaza and Palestine worked prior to the conflict, was even in a really messed up way for the people it worked for. You still had money going into high-tech financial services, telecoms. You still had money going circularly or periodically through these utility networks. It was a lot of rents. So yeah, a lot of stuff that isn't like very desirable at all in the long run. I'm not normatively weighing in or competitively weighing in on that. And so if we look at any region, when you say that, $1 from your paycheck can pay your power bill, and then it ultimately gets back to your paycheck again or gets to someone else's paycheck, these are usually the types of things societies go for. But we have to be honest about it too. If we're buying stuff to buy more nuclear bombs, buy more military technology, we're not funding schools, not funding healthcare. We're not considering the more drastic sort of resource crises. I'm not going to be too quiet on my own channel about the Greenpeace hippie stuff. Yeah, call me a lunatic, call me a far left lefty, tell me I'm delusional, tell me my college was worth nothing. When I studied, international criminal justice or something, that didn't matter. Constitutional law didn't matter. But I would tell you, yeah, those subjects, the sort of foundations of democracy, the foundations of nation building, all of these topics support a more fair and equitable sense of society. That's really about drinking out of the same watering hole. It's not communism. It's just what a reasonable person would do. The left castrated and funded genocide. You're so beta. Yeah, if you're upset at the way Democrats have handled some of the topics that you don't like, I disagree personally. One of the things that I agree with is that, I don't think someone, because you have a collective identity, you now tell me who I am. But that also doesn't mean that me voting for AOC or me not voting for like a Zohran Mamdani means that I lack compassion for trans issues or LGBTQIA. Global women's rights, things like race. These are all issues that are important to me. I'd love to do more research, catch myself up on some of this stuff. I can argue it from a theory standpoint today. And so when I'm saying I'm arguing and I'm for an idea, I don't think that's in any way weak. I think I'm saying that everything you've ever seen, everything you know and love, what you consider a civilization is worse than mine. Everything that I know is better than everything that you know. Politics is low IQ slop. Heck yeah. Shout out slop, politics slop folks. Appreciate it. Hey Panelverse, good to see you. Your party committed genocide. Boy, I'm really behind, but I'm still trying to catch up. These are some good comments, guys. Thank you so much. Let's see. Regime change is always about installing Western puppets. Regime change is always about installing Western puppets. It has been sometimes, not always, but yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. You have to look at the period of democratization. There's time periods where that doesn't even make sense. And there's just other one-off cases. But yeah, there have been a lot of revolutions as a result of proxy wars, and as a result of, geographical disruption. So know that term, I would say geographic, like, when you say that there's regional disruption happening or, there's a new power broker or something like that, whatever, that stuff will float through your algorithm at some point in time. Ollie Weaver and, Buzan, they wrote this RSX Regional Security Complex, RSC, and it sort of goes with Morgenthau and realism a little bit. But, yeah. And so people will say, well, why does a parliamentary system emerge in this way, or they order these things in these way, or they have like sort of a fast track to UN participation or a fast track to, financializing resources they have. These are some of the things people will talk about in less woke terms. Shout out to you, Duck. Back at it, bro. Props. Hey, thank you, the Charlie Show. Charlie Show, yo. Shout out to the Charlie Show too. He's the coolest person on YouTube, yo. Stop trolling me, stunky trolls. Stop doing whoa. Hey, we got a Insomnia Yayo. Hey, hopefully you're good, brother. Shout out to you. Everybody who's on internet time, shout out to you. You know, if you guys can peek through your window, I'm on like day 7 of not doing my outside stuff, outside workouts. And so definitely shout out. I'm understanding it more and more. There's people who are better at it than me, like better at it or stuck in it more than me. But yeah, I'm getting back right there with you guys. Back there with everybody. Trump wants Greenland. Casper, I can't even keep up with that stuff right now. So if you guys are interested in Greenland, maybe go check that comment out from Casper. But I can't keep up on that stuff right this second, I don't think. This is it's just about like, it's not just about one thing, but it's about like nuclear stuff, right? This is a bit controversial take, but what are your thoughts on big, beautiful women and snow bunnies? Yeah, I think you can make big, beautiful women and snow bunnies more masculine by breaking it down to BBLs, to lip filler, to Botox. You can break it down to the spring sales, right? You can break it down to Nordstrom's and MAC versus, throwing a handful of lip gloss into your purse at Target. So there's a lot of different ways to sort of look at those topics. I was talking to this red pill guy earlier. I forgot what his name was, Rich something or another. But yeah, I was telling him, he invited guys up, and I came up and I just wanted to, I mentioned to him that I'm not having a lot of success recently. I'm usually banging out, really hard, and my Chevy S10, I'm banging out 8s and 9s, so it's my US pickup truck. I'm hitting on hot girls and stuff. And so, yeah, that's about how I feel about it, is that, it's one of those things the tribe solves for. No, I'm not. I wouldn't recommend asking or answering questions about prescribed medications here. It may even be terms of service. So Skyscraper, thanks for the question. I'm also just going to remove that question. No timeout or anything like that, obviously. But I just wanted to clarify that. And so, yeah, but you're sniffing a lot, which makes you a... No, I mean, if you're going to troll me with it, that's okay. That's okay. Troll. Trolls, stop trolling me, stunkies. You guys are warning me about these trolls, and I can't out-troll them, I'm going to go put my troll-catching hat on, my troll-catching cloak. Freaking troll, dude, I have no defense against it right now. In my baby blue shirt, my baby blues. Russia is resilient because they can retool very quickly to produce different things. Yeah, a lot of smart people in Russia. Russia also has consolidated financial networks and some of this stuff. Russia also has, whether you see it as a strength or a weakness, because their formal interest rates are so high, I believe that they have more different avenues to funding. There's different roles of like their state companies in funding and stuff like that. And so it's a safe way to approach these topics is to say, well, it works differently, right? That's a good starting point. But yeah, to say that Russia doesn't have their own moral quests, both for the fact that, like the US, they possess nuclear weapons, like the US, they innovate in aerospace and in defense tech, and build new missiles very regularly. New missiles, new warhead, new weapon systems. Weapon systems is really the big boy question. It's, how do you shoot it? What shoots it? What does it shoot? How much do those parts cost? How much do they cost to keep? And do they work, right? And so, yeah, do they work? Do you want a goon? I just learned what gooning means. Wasn't the Freedom Convoy declared domestic terror allegedly? I don't know. There's no honesty in this level of reporting, but also outrage. Selective outrage is a real thing. And so I do see the absurdity of whether or not, right? I'm obviously not going to, people that loaded up flotillas with medical supplies, food, and perhaps, whatever else. I'm not going to criticize those people, but those are also not formal aid organizations as far as we know. We know that it would only be one subset of a complete like NGO operation or something that is endorsed by a peace treaty going into an active war zone. And so to people showing courage, obviously support that. And to language and harsh rhetoric against it, obviously against that. And obviously, I want to see the language stop, and obviously, I want to see the conflict stop, the suffering stop. And I don't think that is a spineless sort of bucket of things to have personally. Yeah, my own 2 cents is that we can do a lot more to support people that want to do good in the world. We can do a lot more, right? I've never seen something actually go wrong because of these things. Madman, is he a traitor? Mom Donnie? Mom, hey, somebody, whoa. I'm sitting in my boxers, so I got all scared about that. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Duck's not even in a freaking formal streamwear. Everybody's tuning out because I'm not dressed to the nines. But yeah, Mom Donnie's not a traitor. Mom Donnie isn't a traitor. Hey, Johnny Appleseed, Essence, DJ Emo, good to see you. Nathan Fish, whatever. Shout out, not whatever, but yeah, shout out. Higgy Homestead, A-Bomb, some of the folks, WPS, still good to see down there. Just making sure everybody's still here, not leaving me, right? Because I'm actually stunky. Mom Donnie's not a traitor. He's running one of the largest cities in the world. And we can debate about how effectively it goes, if those changes are enduring. I do hope people don't railroad good projects that work long term. I do hope that if this is a authentic democratic socialist moment, that there's no bad actors or those with misaligned incentives railroading it, in the same way that I would generally support if you have a libertarian, taking over a district or taking over a governorship. You would also have that same similar moment if there's actually something that works and is going to work long term. Unfortunately, that is a little idealized. It is still politics. However, it's not that far off from what leaders might say is a good starting point in my view. I'm sober and I feel high watching this. You are? Are you? No, the courts ruled in our favor. Trudeau was found to be in the wrong and involving the Emergencies Act. Yeah, I mean, I think Trudeau did stand up a little bit against oil and gas in Canada. I obviously don't have opinions of Canada because I don't live there. But given that Canada is going to face the same energy concerns and compute availability concerns as the United States, going to have the same inflation issues, and forever you're not going to be able to blame the cost of the cost of Uber or Lyft medallions. You're not going to be able to blame immigrants forever. So I think it's good when there's Canadian leaders taking a long-term view for the cost of their sort of present perception. If someone's willing to be brave and stand up and say the right thing, I personally think it's at least worth listening briefly, listening to what people support them may say, having that conversation, and then arguing about it. Disagree if you actually disagree, but don't make stuff up. Don't skip homework, this kind of thing. God bless Mark Carney. Yeah. Hey, shout out to, the Canadians, the Canucks, Mark Carney and the whatnot. What is this? Yeah, someone's talking about me doing drugs again, so I don't know what that is. Boofing is the best way. I don't know what that is either. Is that like a bussy or something funny? I don't know. Hey, Anna, good to see you. We got Anna G in the house, Anna JG. I didn't really say hi. I guess not like a shout out, Anna, but separation of church and state. This is not a Christian nation. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, Nestle has enslaved children for the chocolate. Yeah, that's such a good point. When there's like when you have men or patriarchal systems, and it's difficult to actually detangle the decision-making process so it's even recognizable, there is a very strong point to be had that religion is at the bottom of this. You guys might say I'm going too full leftist and woke, but really think about it. You have a CEO deciding to move your country to another country, and he's going with 1,000 Marines. That's a very strange type of decision. It should sound a little strange. It should sound if we're staying on that sort of left-leaning or social theory side, it sounds queer. It sounds too odd to be something that's rational. And yet this is the rational, objective, Marcus Aurelius Christian right that often has made these decisions historically. And so we should have accountability. We should have transparency. And trying to understand, maybe from my view, if there is a theory or a model that actually encapsulates this level of hatred and violence, where does it start? Where does it end? You know, oftentimes it is a belief. Oftentimes it is a belief, but this can easily drift into bias because I know good Christians, I know Catholics that don't support colonialism, never did. No, the number is not zero, believe it or not. There's people that will, on the one hand, defend proxy wars and Henry Kissinger and defend Reagan, and they'll defend basically the United States' entire economic boom following World War II. They'll defend the U.S. and the Philippines, in the early 20th century alongside with the British. They'll defend all these things. And then they'll say, well, no, we never supported colonialism, actually. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You supported everything except colonialism. There's no like paper towel roll that narrow where you just now suddenly see this stuff. Waxy. Greenland and Canada are highly susceptible to Chinese control. Yeah. Maybe. What are they going to do? Send a bunch of Temu phones over? I suppose. They're going to send a bunch of Temu phones for people that hate immigrants in the EU and for poor Americans, right? The Americans that hate the Chinese are going to buy a bunch of Temu phones off Amazon. Seems like it. Hey, I've got these, Wei Wu Wu Wei prepaids. Don't you hate the Chinese, buddy? No, I love the Wu Wei, and it's that some of the processors are made in Taiwan, as it turns out, but the phone itself's made in China. They ship them in by the dozen, by the bucketful. They ship them in by the bucketful, folks. The craziest thing just happened in my neighborhood. So there was this man in my neighborhood who went missing Saturday. The wife reported it today. Police came and found, well, that's very strange. A-Bomb Productions. That is basically all a very extreme on the edge of things. I don't like extreme horror movies. Just so you guys saying, hi, my name's Nathan Duck. I don't like horror movies that much or something. I used to, and then I got scared. I don't know what happened. It was like suddenly I woke up I was 29 years old, thinking about getting back in shape about that time. And I didn't like being scared while I was turning on televisions or movies. And so that's that. And regarding extreme things, if I'm editing a video, I'll drag the picture to the side. Just, get your little elements in your little video software, your AI device, get the elements where you want them and then drag those things all the way to the side. Get them all the way out, right? If I'm sitting here on camera, I'm going all the way up to the top or all the way to the bottom, depending on what we're talking about. If we're talking about real life scary stories, obviously some compassion and empathy for the crime that perpetrated your community. Just given the Bayesian prior of where we are on the internet, on social media, this isn't Facebook, so I'm assuming that this is like some sort of thrill or jock content. In which case, cool. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, thanks for being here. We're a politics philosophy channel. And we like being honest, telling the truth about something. Some of us do, but some of the trolls just leave when they stunky and talk too much. Freaking trolls. Light rail, for example, is 20 times more energy efficient than buses. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm in Arizona. We've got a big light rail system that didn't exist, 15 years ago. And so we have a light rail Arizona is this like depressed valley. So you have mountains all around the outside, and it's not like overwhelming, right? Like if you're in Phoenix in the center, you can look a direction and you don't see like big mountains. But you just know that, the elevation's not zero. We're above sea level. And if you go other directions, yeah, there's big mountain ranges that trap all the heat in. Basically, the main thing isn't the heat. It's not like a greenhouse effect, but it is the air pressure systems. It pushes air out, so you don't get a lot of low pressure systems in. And low pressure systems are usually what precedes rainstorms. And so Arizona's hot, it's dry. Phoenix is hot and dry. But yeah, I was saying that because, yeah, for us, things like having public transportation connects a very large area where there's scarce resources. Maybe you don't want to, you have a special focus on not polluting where you are. Ideally, some people say that. and also just being aware of consumption choices. One of the things, just the crazy vegan point, because I do have I've got the vegan cookbook here. I ain't selling vegan cookbooks. I got this thing from a birthday present from my brother. It's got, greetings from California. If you guys like that, greetings from California. Nice, really big graphic on this page. It says, eat like you give a fuck. So it's pretty funny. Yeah, they got pictures of the different wine companies, Russian River Brewing, Russian River, they make good beer and stuff. I used to love that stuff before I got real crazy vegan. But yeah, I look up like water consumptions for the coffees I drink, not crazy, but those little nice to haves for some people. It's more information before I buy something. Personally, US is fascist. Yeah, definitely. I think the part I disagree with is that, if I look at 99% of the time where, so the 99% of the time, the US isn't engaging in conflicts. We've really parked down our resources other places, and we parked down our ability to import other resources and sell products, goods, and services. And that's very prototypical United States. However, I think when you look at people's mindset and the constraints around a lot of this stuff, the mindset itself does perpetuate when violence does erupt, such as under President Donald Trump. And so if you want to take a bet or you want to take a gambit, if the US is a good place to be or it is not, it's just, I don't know, man. It's like, what would your pet gerbil, what would your pet gerbil or hamster say about being sold at freaking PetSmart or something? You're buying your pet gerbil or hamster next to a kitty Fitbit or something like this. Very weird stuff. Couldn't say. I heard from the news that in some areas of the USA there's a demographic change involving Muslims. Hey Nikhil, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the data and statistics, but we've always had these things called ethno-hubs. Ethno-hubs usually are just concentrations of people who speak a certain language, maybe have some cultural differences. But yeah, like by and large, one of the big stories was how Chinatown banks still got the same good and bad of the financial crisis. Little Chinatown banks, right? You're still part of the US banking system. You're still a small business owner. But those types of things are important. If you have if you're unironically telling the story, you have a Chinese banking CEO, a Chinese American guy owns a bank in a Chinatown. Maybe they do more things like they say, well, we're going to, we're going to have more tellers. We're going to have more Chinese speaking employees. And that's how our bank works, right? We're going to know the people in our community. We know where we can go market to sell our bank. And then we might also, who knows, maybe your customers are okay being told to fuck off, that you're getting pay for ATMs other places. And most American consumers are not. But you can say, well, hey, if you want to go to Bank of America and not speak Chinese, not ask questions, you can go do that. But, this is the one thing that we do that's different. Everything else is the same. We're a bank. We're a fiduciary in every other sense. Right. And so, not trying to make it too complicated, but yeah, in the United States, being a fiduciary or following like banking regulations, these are the most important things for people to say, know, and do. And they're not meant to sell snake oil or be a con man. They're just meant for people to know. And so ethnoburbs do exist in the US. Maybe they are more focused on economic integration. And so I don't think it actually matters if there is a change, an increase of Muslims in the United States. And not just, you're talking about religion, but if there's an increase of Arab Muslims, that's cool too. If there's an increase of people converting to Islam, okay, cool. Stay the fuck out of my politics, please. I took down those nets. The Red Bull gives you wings. Cool. Yeah, that's sick. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you like Red Bull. That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah. iPhone source material, cobalt, lithium, and slave labor mines too. Yeah. Wampus stuff, right? When we're thinking about, making 1 million cell phones, that stuff makes me depressed, man. Makes me really depressed because I don't want to wampus anymore. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, catch up. Thanks for the chats and stuff, guys. I'm just going to read some of the chats at the bottom and stuff too. Status mind control. I'm not trying to do that. Statism is mind control. The state is mind control. State is mind control. Is. Yeah. Yeah, you know, Daddy just knew, you know, George Washington and Modi, they just know how many like steel mills and stuff you needed or something, I guess. I don't know. You know, I'm not, like, if you're going to be honest, I'm not here to, you know, I'm not here to prop up like conspiracy rhetoric and stuff, but I'm also not here to lie to you, you know? And so that is one thing, important thing to note as you guys are kind of considering if you're going to stick around, subscribe, like the stream, is I have a degree in political science. You know, I studied for 4 years for that degree. And so, yeah, if you guys are here to spread conspiracy theories about like a form of mind control, you know, that's cool. Just bring a little bit of evidence while we're doing that. You know, brother, you know, Stunky. Will I be singing? I don't know. Maybe not tonight. Lessons, lessness. I'm working on just keeping my chest a little open since I'm getting made fun of a lot. All the trolls are coming in. Yeah, David O'Malley is one of the biggest trolls of all, dude. Anytime I sing Moana, do you know what he says? He says, Disney princess nerd. Cool. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I love learning and singing and stuff like that. Dude, this guy's nuts, man. Dude, this chick is crazy, bro. This chick is crazy, man. She's even crazier than me, dude. No, I'm telling you. Don't hang out with her. Do not hang out with her. No, I'll tell you guys, though, because you guys may see the memberships, the super chat goals. Because I'm in Arizona, I want all of my money coming from Arizona. I'm going to be a mercantilist, protectionist, you know, this type of sort of oligarchic grift. Yeah, especially, yeah, Chicano. I'm white. I'm a white guy, but yeah, you know, any of my fellow, you know, anti-ICE, Chicano, Mexicano, Latinx crew in Arizona, I want you to send me your money, you know? No, not you personally, not Uncle Tio, not Aunt Tia. Yeah, but rich Uncle Marco, you know, say, hey, Marco, you know, how, you know, the Mexican restaurant's good. Okay, cool. How's the real estate? It's good, right? You know, I have this buddy duck. You can buy them. You could buy them 50 gift memberships, and this guy will be set for a month. One-time gift of 50 gift memberships. He won't get it for a month. So send him the 50 gift memberships and then go send him some of those little jewels that pop up on the screen. Yeah, he's not greedy. No, Marco. This guy is a real anti-Trump guy. He's a real politics buff. He knows everything, man. You know, he tells the types of jokes that in 2026, someone might say are racist, but they're not really, right? So give him your money before he gets kicked off YouTube. Yeah. Only Arizona people, but he specifically did tell us, he said it has to be a Chicano, right? It has to be a Chicano dollar. Yeah, no Mexico pesos, but it has to be, you know, it has to be coming from the same place, right? Sunday ticket, pay-per-view, no, send it to Duck. I'm just kidding, guys. I hope if you guys find that stuff offensive, let me know. I will drop it. Yeah, it is a little weird. I will drop it. Yeah. 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 No, I don't know. Arizona Mexican dude on social media, right? That's the official like ChatGPT voice. Yeah. Juan on YouTube. Juan YouTuber. What do I say, eh? The end of cash is coming. Yeah, you guys want to go blockchain instead of fiat and stuff like that. Yeah. Send me 1 Bitcoin and I'll retire, right? I'll still stream every night. I can even do more stuff to focus on building a cosmopolitan, plural, global audience. I can cut some of the BS about always needing to criticize Trump, you know, putting Trump in prison blues. We can have conversations and see where they go, right? This can be one of those channels because you guys send me a Bitcoin or something, you know, yeah, that I just do that. Yeah, this is what poor people always say is, oh, if I, yeah, you know, please, sir, if I just get another $100, right? It's just this $100. It's the next 500. It's if I had $1 million, this is what I do. And people never do it, right? It's another one of the lies. The end of cash is coming, says bro. The end of memory is coming. I'm reading the same comments. I would buy AOC foot pics. Hey, that's a fair comment. Yeah, that's a fair comment. Yeah. Fake democratic grassroots activism on account of YouTube monetization or something, right? Or just adjacent. Fake groundswell news. Fake grasslands. The fake grasslands. Real turning point. Yeah. The real Democrat turning point is going to have online courseware and then tell everyone else to F off. Yeah. And that's it. Right? Charlie Kirk fake told people to go watch other content, but in reality, he wanted you to go watch Myron Gaines and Andrew Tate and all this other BS. Yeah. Go read the finance news and show off how much money you make day trading. That's awesome. If you guys find success doing day trading or something that's independent, it's on your own, this kind of stuff, that's obviously super cool. It provides a good incentive for people to become self-sufficient in their work and stuff like that. And also, I don't feel like, having this mindset or that philosophy in your mind's eye justifies ever lying to people or bringing race and racism, bringing that kind of stuff into politics, bringing it close to, any layer of culture. That's my own 2 cents. I'm a millennial. I grew up when Saturday Night Live would do like race jokes or sometimes be authentically racist without trying to. I grew up when SNL was, still sexist a little bit. And yeah, I think I turned out okay. I've read some critical theory. I've read, religious books from around the world. And so I don't see myself as deeply racist. I consider myself more anti-racist. I'm not racist. I tend to be more anti-racist, but I don't know why I would defend that all the time if I'm criticizing someone else. I don't know. Is that like Phoenix or Glendale? Pretty far out. Somewhere West Valley. Bitcoin is a fraud. Yeah, the big money spenders just want to hear me call out their neighborhood. What was the cool one? If you guys go out to Goodyear, if anyone's in Arizona, but if you go to Goodyear and you look up on the mountain, that's even like west of Goodyear, there's like this neighborhood you have to drive through. If anyone's really far West Valley, so it's south of Sun City, but it's west of Goodyear. And I went up there once, because there's a friend that had a house and they've got this giant country club. The houses are normal, right? The houses are like Arizona normal, 1,800 to 2,300 square feet, big houses, but still pretty nice houses, very nice houses, single family homes. And so, but they've got this giant country club. So cool setup, of course, with the country club, what do we want? We want community grocery stores and we want freaking space vegetables in our neighborhoods. When do we want it? Well, we want it in Cuba now, but then we want it other places now too. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we're going to make a bunch of space PVC homes so people have weatherproof homes and floors, and then we're going to install space vegetables. Yeah. This is what Silicon Valley, this is what the California venture capitalists wanted to invest in, and they still are to some extent. I don't know that we have it all, but India's a joke. Night fever, you know how to do it. Let's see. YouTube flagged one of these messages. Do I swallow Swalwell? Yeah, Eric Swalwell. I mean, respect to the people, respect for your time in office, and there's very severe allegations, right, which seem to undermine your entire time in office, right? This is whoosh, whoosh, right? What was that Netflix show? House of Cards, right? And so this to me is also about reputation, because I'm like a moralist. I'm super happy to say, well, look, I'm not going to morally judge you, the person. Even like someone like Jeff Dahmer or Osama bin Laden, really bad people. Like my own meta ethics is I can say actions you did, or consequentially things you did that are very wrong, incredibly wrong. Some of the worst things people have ever done. But But I've got no problem if you give me someone's track record, I can go point out morally and strategically what I disagree with. And so I think if it's true, Tony Gonzalez, a Republican in Texas, and if it's true, Eric Swalwell, a Democrat in California, so elected officials in these high-ranking offices and stuff like that, then, well, to me, it may be the case that, it's not the stinking trolls, but it's the fact that, yeah, we elected people that were allowed to commit horrible wrongs, and it should undermine their public service record, right? You would expect that there's many cases where their judgment was impaired. They were not showing up to the job, and that's partially why there's conduct standards. There's not just, jurisprudence and the law of the land. You also have conduct standards on sports teams. You have conduct standards on boards of directors. You've got conduct standards. And so it's sort of weird to think that if I come up here and I talk about like queer theory or gender ideology, or I talk about being a slut or something like that, and I'm doing so in an academic sense, in some sense that may violate like a corporate policy. But it's like, okay, cool. That's actually not bad. That should make my judgment better, not worse, because it's an educational topic. 5 stops in the whole state. Shout out Tap In Tanner. Is that like a meme one? Shout out Tanner. What's up, Tanner? What's up, Danny Tanner? What's up, Tanner Bobanner? What's up, Tanner? Tanner the Hammer. What up? Shout out Tanner. Crockett and AOC. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah, we have to have ways to see politics as evolutionary. That's maybe the big brain way of seeing leadership challenges, is that if we're not connecting with our natural selves, the animalistic side, and right, that isn't saying that we do impulsive things like we eat whatever we want, or we eat steak once a week, or we hit on our secretaries, right? Our animalistic sides are just saying we can be aware of the ecology around us. And because we have a big brain, we can be aware of the world that goes beyond that. So I think we need that. And then we also need to have these like systems and social systems. But yeah, when you say that this natural self and the social recognizing has become, has done, this side, however you want to say it, with our natural selves is what evolves. It's easy to see that when we like sin against ourselves, or we sin, we commit a crime or a sin against God, if that's what you think, or you commit a sin or a crime against what common sense, good sense tells you. These are all things conservatives could say, but they don't. They don't say that, right? So you have lunatics who are openly not reflecting, but voicing their own opinion that you should go along with locking people in cages, committing genocide, spending billions with the B, right? This actual real tangible number, billions of a B on weapons that go into tangible real, 6-acre warehouses and storage facilities. So you fill up acres of land, you have land use to store and use weapons, and you spend more money on it. And these are weapons you hope you never have to use, yet you spend a lot of money and you show them off. You posture. This is what posturing is. It's saying, well, we have all this stuff and we're willing to use it. And so people that have postured against personhood and postured violence on the world stage, to me, that's never going to fly. That's never going to fly. Yeah. It's never going to fly, right? And yeah, it's worth using your voice and your body for all the time. 100% of the time, it's worth it. It's one of the ways that I think a true masculinity fan, you guys aren't red pill, but, I'm a little red pill. You guys don't know that about me, but, I wouldn't have rainbow weightlifting shoes behind me, rainbow cross trainers in the Metcons if I wasn't red pill. And so to me, masculinity is also about using your brain and your body, about the things you care about without forcing that on another person, without forcing someone else to become the thing you are. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Evading detection, right? Evading detection is what it is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. No trains are cool. I just don't want to have to ride them all the time. They're always going to be more energy efficient than rubber tire based vehicles. Yeah, cars are cool. I mean, cars are cool. I bought my first car was like a 2009 it was a 2010 Hyundai Elantra. So cool car, you know, when you turned it on, the dashboard lit up and there were like these blue lights and red lights. And so that was kind of cool. You know, back when I first started driving, you had the old backlit sort of, you know, because I'm a millennial. So my first car I got was like a 1990s car, and you had the backlit dashboard, you know, light behind this plastic with these little punched out cutouts with your dials and gauges, and the light came from behind. And so in this car, you had the blue lights and stuff, and it very, you know, in US standards, very cheap car. You know, used, it was maybe like, it was low miles, maybe 12 or 13 grand or something. So something, because I was driving at that time, I was driving too much. I was driving like 60 miles a day just to go forward and back to work. Maybe not that much. It was probably like 45 miles. It was like 22 miles each way, but it was like actually 45 miles. So I was driving a lot. So I got this gas efficient gas car that I could afford to buy, and then I could afford to gas it up, and would get, you know, if traffic was moving, 33 miles to the gallon. That was good for back then. So cool story, but yeah, those cars, it was not that efficient. You know, I have fond memories of going to work every day for 2 years in that car as far as I drove. And then when I quit, I got a job in downtown Phoenix. Phoenix is the biggest sort of metro area in Arizona and in the Valley. And so, yeah, then I was driving about 30 miles each day, about 15 miles each way. But yeah, that car also got me there. I'd go find a little parking garage and punch my work pass. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Rice Cake. Appreciate it. Phoenix is very hot. Phoenix is very hot. Yeah. Phoenix is very hot, Poppy. Yeah. I spent $2 grand on the car that lasted me 10 years. Cool. Cool. I'm sure talking about you lose boarding, unloading, arranging taxis from A to B. Cool. Cool. The dude snorts womp womp. Where's Jordan? Well, there's the Jordan runners. There's Jordan. Jordan in his flu game. You guys always make fun of me because I'm a basketball fan, and I try not to show off my card collection, but there's Michael. There's my shoes, if you guys can see my shoes. And there's Michael. Don't stop trolling is what I'm saying. I'll go get my yeah. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, stunkies. Don't troll me. This is a cool card. This is actually a cool basketball card. This is Kobe Bryant in a Christmas suit. I'll show it one more time. Yeah, but Kobe Bryant is another guy who very famously has, sexual assault allegations. I bring that up on a politics channel. Very serious ones, right? Very serious ones from a hotel stay, specifically. Yeah. And this is a used game-worn Christmas suit that Upper Deck paid for in, what year was it? 1999 or 2000, about then, for a holiday Christmas card. So their employees got this card. They made about 1,000 of these. Yeah. And this is one of the like decorative cards that I have. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. Hold on. Night fever, night fever. We know how to do it. I did set up memberships on the channel. I'm just going to mention it briefly while you guys are checking out the poll. I'll review the poll results. The value of the almighty dollars. One of the things we've been talking about, being honest about stuff a little bit. trying to put that in the right place. 62% of you guys say the value of the almighty dollar is going down. Cool. I tend to agree with 62%, right? 20% say going up, and 17% say, yeah, right? Cool. So that's cool. But yeah, what was the thing I was going to do? This isn't right. None of this is right. Night fever, night fever. We know how to do it. Oh, geez. Okay. Okay. Well, I can't edit it. I was going to lower the price on my memberships. I don't see how to do it though right there. I'll have to look at it later. Yeah, but that's one of the things. I do want to get more channel members. So if anyone's considering in the future donating to the channel, it'd be cool. And gift memberships are cool. Also, if any of you guys want to sign up for a recurring membership, that would be cool. But yeah, I understand these are sort of short format things. Prices are in USD. I understand that as well. And so, yeah, obviously not trying to be pushy or too salesy, too businessy, any of that kind of stuff too. But yeah, if you guys want to pick up on that, I want to bling out the channel. If you guys want to pick up on some of that stuff, I want to bling the channel. Super chats, jewels, cool, whatever. Memberships, yeah, heck yeah. But also shout out to you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the chats. Folks that are just here, not just here, but you are just here watching. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream. We can do some justice talk maybe on another night. Not just us, but it will be for justice at the end of the day, folks. Absolutely. Absolutely, folks. I'm a Green Beret and I love your live session. Cool. Hey, thanks for your service. My friend Sarah the Raging Tomato is having a birthday today. She's a Air Force veteran. I'm not a veteran. And so shout out to you. Oh my gosh, someone actually listened to me. Someone actually listened and bought a membership. I'll go down real quick there, but yeah, shout out to you. Anyone who's served, made it up to the special forces, got your rank up in real life IRL. Yeah, definitely respect for all the hard stuff that you guys do and have done and will do and stuff in the future. I'm self-identified as CIA, having been recruited off of Quora, having been recruited off of Reddit. You guys know how it goes. They put the targeting analyst on the website, and then you get recruited off of the social media forums, typically how that works. So yeah, you guys won't see me draping myself in the flag. You're going to see me covering things in the perspective and lens of political science. I went to Arizona State University. It's the largest university in the state in the country, actually. So yeah, and so I'm enjoying myself here. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, we try to be LGBTQIA friendly. We try to be allyship for trans. We try to be politically inclusive, and that absolutely it should extend to veterans. You guys should have a way to talk about things in the way you want. I'm a good Gersten man, Gersten. Yeah. So if you're talking to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people, yeah, keep those conversations rolling. Let's keep those conversations rolling with however many people you're talking to right now. Yeah. All right. Oh my gosh, J Money signed up for a membership. Duck the legend, J Money the legend, appreciate it. Jay, I would tell you because I know you're not getting that money in on YouTube. As far as I know, I would say your money's no good here. But you do look good in green. You look good in green. We'll have to collab quite a bit on. Whether we collab immediately or indirectly, we will have to collab on the next emoji. Shout out to you, shout out to the crew. Whenever I see you, it's always cool to see. And so I'll if I can, I will make sure the people know who Jay is. Who Jay is. Hey, Darren Connolly, good to see you. Great to see you. Clickbait, I don't see ducks. Negan Walker, I'm right here, brother. The duck, the only duck that you ever need is right here. And yeah, you know, all right. So thanks, guys. Yeah, you can cancel these memberships anytime. There's no contract. And so that's one of the advantages. Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, definitely, dude. Yeah, I'll see you out there. I'll see you here, see you out there. You know, green name tag looks great. Wow, I'd F that. Hey, Joe Fashion. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If there's anything I can do to help. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ideally, right? Hey, what's going on, Matt's best friend? Hey, good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. We got Matt in chat. Shout out to you. That's a cool username and user tag. Matt best friend 4E forever. So forever a friend who's your best Matt too. That's also very cool. Forever is for and ever, forever, right? That's always what the word means. So the word always means that it's forever and whatever too. Cool. Yeah. Neato Stunko, if we're doing a Green Beret takeover, why don't you guys stop freaking trolling? Trolls! Stop trolling, you Stunko trolls! Stop trolling! Troll! I said I don't want to troll anymore, you freaking troll! You troll! I'm an animal person, so my name's Duck. That doesn't mean I'm not a frog, man. You know? This is what the guys on chorus said. They said you're never gonna cut it, stunky. And I said, you know what I am gonna do? I'm not gonna cut the cheese like you troll. You freaking troll. All right, brother. Thanks, man. Yeah. I watch John Kiriakou on lives. I watch who else do I watch? Hey, Jackie Jones. Lots of things. Yeah, I watch John Kiriakou on lives. I watch Andrew Bustamante on lives. Andrew Bustamante doesn't do lives, so I just watch his videos afterwards. And then what else? Yeah, that's kind of my connection in the political science world to international relations and whatnot. And so, yeah, you know, those guys have put in a lot of time and effort into the work and the whatnot. And so those guys are like my soft core, you know, in terms of civic mindedness, in terms of civic leadership, in terms of civil society. Those guys are my heroes in a large regard, right? In some sense, I also believe we should support people like Aung San Suu Kyi. You know, her story is just insane. You know, she's an 80-year-old woman that is a political prisoner. That is unacceptable. The fact that she was a leader, a head of state that is a political prisoner is unacceptable. So wondering just what goes into that decision is absurd to me. I don't think it's that funny. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to know, you know, any of this sort of YouTube social media jargon. I'm not going to pick up on that much of it. I was going to tell somebody who's already nasty, so I won't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I did yell troll at you. And so if you have comedy or a sense of humor, something about whatever it is, that's also cool. Yeah, no worries. It's always good to see everybody though. You know, I try to, because again, it's a politics channel. I try to harken back to my education a little bit. You know, we focus on issues such as cosmopolitanism. Some people may be familiar with that term, as well as pluralism. If you're not familiar with that term, that's another good one to know. And yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, and I collect likes. The like button is free here, so thank you guys. Appreciate all of you so very freaking much. Thanks for being my friend on social media. Everything is easy, nothing is hard. You can stream every day because your friends are in chat, and the people that don't chat are also your friends. Yo, 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 yo. I'm still here, and I respect how you did what you did. Cool, thank you. Yeah. Comment at 912. Thank you. Shout out. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. How am I doing, folks? If I could try defying gravity, kiss me goodbye, defying gravity. Yeah, get used to your expectations not being met while Donald Trump is in office. This doesn't mean get used to laying back or laying off on your own sense of moral standards in a society. We were talking about the military industrial complex. We were talking about measuring weapons investment by the acre. We're talking about measuring weapons investment based upon the inescapable sort of sense that just any society after Westphalia was going, after whatever Europe stuff was going to have farming, city production, and going to have a military, right? And so when people have psychologies and measure things, when people have mindsets around these types of issues and spaces and things like this, it's important to have those moral standards. It's also important that when someone blatantly is lying, in my opinion, and when that person does not have the best interests of the country in their heart, or they're incapable of executing upon that interest of the country, then, well, to me, it's about redefining what it means to be a patriot. A patriot can use social media to build global audiences. Someone who's patriotic or has a national identity can use what they know to just be nice to people where they are, right? It's not like all kinds of pressure or whatever it is. It is just another way of analyzing politics, saying, I want to be around people who are like me, who share my values. I want to be able to have conversations, easy or hard, or comedy time, fun, enjoyable. When I'm a good Gersten man, I'm going around and, Mike Slicker is going to be going looking for, backup, not, Bobby Clinton, this energy bush, right? I don't know, this kind of stuff always sets me back quite a bit, and so it's just one of these, like, really the weird topic is that if you allow the actual thing that you produced, I was told the beautiful thing that someone produced for you, to be owned by a marketing message and not reality, then that marketing message becomes your God, right? It certainly does. So both sides can be trusted. So I decided to not watch TV anymore. Cool. Yeah, heck yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good call. Network television, college sports after Kent State University, these types of discussions, who knows? People find weird, scrappy, resilient ways to do shit. And so, I just try to sit here and talk. LOL, everyone is feeling that. Yeah, lots of pressure, lots of outside pressure, inside pressure, lots of absurdity on the news. But why is there absurdity on the news? Because you decide to not tell the truth instead, right? It would be another election steal. So the easier thing to do is to lie. Yeah, hey, Matt, I hope she is. That's cool. Yeah, Matt, if your wife's happy with, the things you got going on at home, that's awesome. Yeah. I grew up, I'm comfortable around firearms and stuff like this. I'd also say that that in terms of politicizing the thing that can sit in front of you and whatever, I've also been impacted by gun violence in my own life. So I have a almost unmanageable opinion toward discussions and policy which limits the ownership and use of firearms. That's not going to change, right? It's this almost unmanageable sort of sensation about it. So, yeah, vote yes in Virginia. Stop Trump's wasteful wars, new wars, and crypto corruption. That's awesome. If you have a link, for us or something for whatever you're talking about. Shout out to Virginia. Obviously, shout out. Abigail Spanberger is one of the people of the hour. I think is worth catching when she does, media, and when as she's working in front and behind the scenes. I think creating the space where we can understand what she's looking for, what she sees as important, is cool for Virginia and for others and whatnot. But yeah, who knows? Yeah, bleh. I don't know what you're talking about though. Trump's crypto corruption. All the money regarding that, I know that he's gotten his family into a lot of cryptocurrency, initial coin offerings and these other sort of, whatever they do, either they're investment firms or they're brokers or whatever. And so the wars are also really, really bad. The wars are bad. I'm happy to see the Democrats did take the gubernatorial race. I don't keep up on all of the smaller ones. Those comparative issues are cool. They are very cool and stuff. The issue of whatever. I'm just blabbering now. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Stay away from my civilization. You want to bring in non-informative, you want to bring in non-measurable, you want to bring in non-operational, the way I say it, non-operational goals. Stay away from my civilization. If you don't have a defined start and end point, you are talking about a process which you do not own. Stay away from my civilization. If you're talking about redistricting because you want to silence someone, stay away from my civilization. If you're talking about redistricting because you believe it will correct for fairness, stay away from my civilization. If you're doing it for expediency, stay away from my civilization. If you're doing it because you are too shy to be honest, stay away from my civilization. Right? Stay away. Whose civilization is it? It isn't yours. It's my civilization. I trust this will become more and more true. It's not yours, it's mine, right? When you talk about short-term things, when you speak as a child does in a room full of adults, it's not your civilization anymore. When you exclude people from the conversation and you don't go seek to find those conversations and those voices, those experiences, the systems in which they live, the processes, and the ways in which the universe does or doesn't support them kinetically and materially, stay away from my civilization. What is your job? You wouldn't last a day in your civilization. That might be true. Yeah. Where do I buy a ticket? What exactly does it entail? Something good, I'd hope. I got new mamas and papas coming for it, apparently. All right. Sound like a good Gershon man. Want to invite good Gershon man. Good Gershon man want to invite me out on a fishing trip, I reckon. Yeah. All right. Oh, Lord, gonna take me down to the riverbank, no, child, no. Oh, the Lord, no, at a frog jump over a broken spoon. Oh, the frog jump, mama ain't miss a beat, day, there. Oh, Lord, no. Oh, the confusion man come down again from the floor. So I come alive. Bra, 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 bra. Oh, yeah, baby. Mama doesn't miss a thing, folks. You want to know how I actually feel about the world? I feel our critical stories, those of lived experiences, have not been told. We didn't roll the bones. We didn't roll under the bones. No, they don't pick up a thing. You stuck, you boy. You step on a stick, you don't get a splinter. You didn't go under the surface. The stick did, but you did not, sir. Oh, respectfully. Oh, all that pain coming for some time coming on. What did it come for? Man outside of the pain ain't telling a man inside of pain a thing about it. Oh, I reckon they feel different. Of course they do. Waste a man time or something. That's my history. That's my history, folks. I don't want to hear a gosh dang thing about it. I don't want to hear a gosh dang thing about any of it. I wish I understood what you were talking about because I think you're nuts. Hey, Rick Young, we was talking politics for a little bit. Bitcoin's has to pass through 80, 90,000 first, and it probably has to pass through 50,000, 60,000 a few times first as well. It's going to do all those things, I'd reckon. Okay, I bashed a lot of people for singing, but that was good. Hey, thank you. Like the old Southern South style, so nice. Yeah, sure do. It's pretty cool. I don't know what's going on. Some guy said he was a Green Beret, and now I'm paranoid. The boins are the skeletons, money in for a world, the bones equal dollars. Yeah, cool. If anybody wants to sign up for a Ducks Y membership, I'm not going to grift or spend more time on it. This is a politics channel. I don't know what we're talking about now. It's some kind of weird history that we're just doing right here, I guess. Culture and history. Yeah, so shout out to you guys. Shout out everybody. Is she a green hat? I guess that's what a beret is. I reckon it is. Oh, buddy. Wow. Mama didn't know. Mama didn't know she had to tell nobody. Now mama knows. 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 Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, I want a Green Beret or a Navy SEAL. Tell me I did a good job, guys. That's my new game. 924. Tell me I did a good job at some of the stuff. You guys did so good. The universe loves you. Yeah. Yep. Politics. Are we in the end times? It's also a religion channel. It's also a religion channel. Shout out to Garfield the Lazy Cat. Are we in the end times? Yeah, the eschatology, right? And in Revelations, one thing to notice is that when people are telling scared narratives, you get new symbolism. You know, cats with funny shoes in the Bible. That's kind of a weird one, isn't it? You have cats and all this, you have it's not the first or just that temple over there, but it's the third temple someone prophesied, and it's new characters, new speakers. You have to understand the new context we just discovered in Revelation. Before it just used to be the case that God was the beginning and the end. So if you're a religious folk, you have that view of Yeshua or Elohim. But then in the Christian sense, you have Revelations, which is, it's batshit crazy. This book makes no effing sense. No sense at all. And yeah, it's interesting because symbolism itself can both be representative of the material world. Something like an equation is a semiotic sort of signifier. You have an interpreter of the symbol, and then it only means what the symbol means at that point, I guess, right? It's not really idealized. It's just how language works. You don't have that optionality. Otherwise, you don't know what the symbol means. And so you bring this back where you're not talking about symbols and words in the Bible, but they want you to open the pages and move the pages off, right? Your Bible actually becomes a reader for reality. And this is one of the points where you actually reach this sort of weird conclusion that if the end times are here, it also means that we will have these new eschatological symbols. So people seem to have this huge fear because this maybe means when you're talking about the reader coming to life, it maybe means someone like Donald Trump is actually the Antichrist, right? How scary, right? Reddit and Quora is going to blow up. Tinfoil hats come on. People forget we're doing moon missions and there's people making a ton of money on robotics in China and stuff, right? All kinds of places in the world, right? There's people starving in Sudan is probably what you don't want to talk about. Two different hospital bombings in Sudan. Very little press coverage in the West of these issues. It's Egypt's fault, or it's UAE's fault, or Turkey's involved, or it's none of this stuff, right? It's who knows? It's the Muslims or the Christians is what Donald Trump wants you to know. Donald Trump wants you to know it's the religious group so he can go back to scaring you. But the interesting thing is when the end times, the Revelation reader comes to life, is that, yeah, it's actually true. Maybe there is symbolism at end of process, end of some time, end of summer, end of spring. You see new plants coming up, old plants dying or changing in some way. So there is arbitrary, absurd symbolism that doesn't mean anything to people, really. It doesn't really mean anything. And so this is just one of those sort of interesting sort of side notes, is that, yeah, this is a way marketing can work. Coca-Cola, at the end of an ad, someone pulls the bottle away and, maybe looks at a book or something. This doesn't mean anything, right? I'm not giving you information when I open a book. Why do you need to know a person drinking a soda pop is reading? That doesn't make any sense. But these things that we internalize do come back out in marketing. They come back in messaging. They can come back out in politics. Can you say, I eat balloon nuts? Is that a troll? I eat balloon nuts? Okay, I eat balloon nuts. Yeah, I do like Kamala Harris. I don't believe in exaggerating. I also believe that if we're building something in the present, we can continue to improve to communicate those types of things. I also don't think common sense has a substitute. And so for all of Harris's sort of negative marketing, there is, something to be said of chauvinism or a revival of nationalistic patriarchal thinking, which somehow painted Kamala Harris as not the most perhaps rationally suited candidate in the Democratic Party, or at least very close to the top. Even if she wasn't your personal first choice, she was not this she did a great job in Biden's, she got one of Biden's big spending bills, Biden's big, she got one of the big unstucks done in Congress. So she's shown she can lead, stunky trolls in the House. I love Kamala Harris. I love her. Yeah. I finally found someone preaching truth to all these brain dead Trump followers. Cool. Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah. I don't know why it would be, but I don't know why it would be. What year is it? It's 2026. It's right now it's 2024, and God, Trump, and all of us have been in jail since 2024. Oh, Lord, break me down, Lord, come on down, break me off some beans and biscuit for my bread. Oh, Lord, take me down, come on, Lord, no, take me down, come on, Lord, break me off beans and biscuits before I go to bed. Before I go to bed, oh, Lord, break me off the beans and biscuit. Before I go to bed, oh, Lord, break me off the beans and biscuit. Oh, Lord, take me down. Break me off the beans and biscuit. Oh, Lord, take me down. Break me off the beans and biscuit. Somebody call fucking John Kay and Andrew Bustamante. I want to talk about the chandelier that's been hanging over all of us, dude. I'm not trying to do the bullshit either, bro. I'm talking dead ass, bro. No cheeks. Serious, bro. Get fucking Tulsi Gabbard, off of Trump's golden MAGA throne. Get her ass down here too. We're having the conversation. And guys, we're going to put it all aside, dude. We're going to put it aside, dude. No election scam. No stunky trolls. Nothing, dude. No freaking nothing, dummies. This blockade, the blockade is over. T-Killer, what up? Did that just happen or something? You sound like you're talking to a child sometimes. I'm out. Bye. Cool. All right, Jackie Jones. No stunky trolling, dude. Yeah, have a good day. J Clips, call me. Cool. Thank you. Shout out to you. Duck. Hey, J Clips, thank you. Appreciate it. Shout out to you guys. What else did I miss? Would you rather? I'm getting dragged down. Stop dragging me down, dude, or whatever. Oh, lol. I'm so sorry, lol. I'm so scared of change, Stunky. Would you rather get a diabolical back from Charlie Kirk, or give yeah, I think Charlie Kirk had a plug collection personally. And yeah, given the progress of Turning Point, I think prior to his Utah address, Charlie Kirk voiced hateful racist beliefs and collect plugs from Timo. George Floyd, You're asking if I would give George Floyd a back shot. I mean, he and I would probably talk about it, certainly. I don't know if he's, hey, Modern Men lost again. Good to see you. Shout out to you. Is that Landry? Landry, is that your like normal username? What up, what up, what up? What up to the Talcott panel universe? What up to the lolcow universe? Yeah. So obviously those were huge injustices. Trayvon Martin, another huge injustice. And yeah, you know, irrespective of how your own and the actual world event of the law enforcement analysis happened, if you bring in some reality into whatever it is you say and you ask if it still makes sense. Two people who did either nothing or relatively nothing ended up losing their life. And so I would say that these were incompetent adults that were acting. Incompetent adults that were acting. Right? And so when you say, oh man, you know, there's 1,000 pages of, you know, 2A self-defense, and there's 1,000 pages of police, you know, aperture, you know, whatever the literature is that they train these guys on, re-upping training courses. And so everybody knew better. And it's just one of those sad events that happened. Maybe, is it though, right? Did they ever try to de-escalate or diffuse the situation? I don't think they actually did, right? And that isn't in any sense to say that, well, you know, there's only one side to the story. It's just saying that, you know, based on the call that, you know, the guy that shot Trayvon Martin, whatever the guy said on that call made him sound like he was out to get into a violent conflict, right? You know, this guy wasn't saying, you know, he wasn't, you know, using his voice. He was using his voice to prepare to use his firearm. And in the other case, you know, in George Floyd, you know, it seemed like my understanding is the cops didn't try to explain, you know, why he was being stopped or the charges or anything like this, and then used excessive force after the fact. So saying that there's a bad beginning and a bad end where protocols both weren't followed and just were bad, and someone died in this scenario, this is a case of police injustice. It's not slipping stuff under the radar, and society shouldn't be quiet about this type of stuff either. Politicians with surname Wiener silence people in court abusing the system and against actual free speech. Cool. And F the left. Cool. Hey, Machiavelli. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great day. Shout out to you. Hey, bud. F Islam. Yeah. You know, I won't say, what is it? Salam alaikum. I'll say Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. You know, you can find you can find truth in Islam. You know, you understand this, right? No problem. You know, I'm an atheist, but Alhamdulillah, 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 Alhamdulillah. You know, something in Iran gave rise to, in about 1,000, it was about 1,000 AD, something gave rise to Zoroastrianism. And it wasn't nothing, right? There must have been something that inspired people to revisit how the Arab language and how the Arabic language and then Persian culture at that time could support multiculturalism. And this is a through line that was strong enough that it also wasn't started for no reason. It should have whatever it is, probably nothing important, but it was also had to have been something that, hey, cool. That's a cool little, not a super chat, but a cool super chat, right? Cool super chat. And so there must have been something that allowed for 1,000 years this thought tradition to evolve. Yeah, obviously to me, it's cool. We wouldn't live in a very rich civilization if these don't exist. But saying that it's aesthetic only and there's not a description that encapsulates, or, you know, it's not continually tumbling in a sense where reality is bigger than the bullshit that these religions say, that's also very cool and important to me, I believe. Politicians with the surname Wiener silence people in court abusing the system and against the actual free speech. Yeah, what the actual free speech, bro? What the free speech? What the free speech? Yeah, when we're creating, yeah, you know, I don't know about Anthony Weiner. I understood he had sexual misconduct that was proven. You know, in my political terms, I would say, you know, there's many politicians who put on a face that they are civic minded and act as civic leaders. and then really do little to lead civil society and really do little to play into what civil society is doing. And this is awesome because this is free. In the United States, you're not a power broker by just engaging in the conversation people are already having. You can be a libertarian, a Republican, a Democrat, Christian, an atheist, and you can do the same thing, right? You don't have to say, well, secretly God has a plan and that's why we're doing this. You can also, when you say you don't actually believe that and then you actually do believe that or you pray, to me, that makes you look like a silly, weak, small person. It makes me think that you have a reason, that you have not gotten over the fact that you've put your society above others, and it's been that way. So, and you are unwilling, when you see that another society exists, is it the case that you've put your mind, body, and reputation on the line for it? Right? That doesn't mean that you go out and you, slur someone, you do something to someone. It doesn't mean that you adopt strange, queer, or otherwise odd habits. It just means that you have appreciated that other aspects of the world exist and that the United States depends on other beings as well as humans in ways that you haven't recognized. Christians who are anti-Muslim are no different from the people in... Yeah, shout out. Good point. Good point. When we hear slogans like hate is hate, those things hit hard. Yeah, hate is one of those things that hits hard. It speaks truthfully. It's perhaps, it's cool stuff, and by and large, I think people that had materialistic and naturalistic goals and the whatnot for a long period of time, or they had statist identities or something like this. It was something similar, I believe. These are all signs. These are all signs that we voted against the ways we've already integrated beingness into a social contract, should one exist, into our ontology for state, an ontology for society. It also is very much, to me, clear evidence that that we've rejected the possibility that those things can happen, right? Those things don't necessarily have to be housed in education. But however, when you find repulsive, disgusting, gross, nasty, what seems to be selfish ideas, and when you see an imbalance of power being continuously created in a psychological or morphological sense, that's also an indicator that society is not going that well. Something's gone wrong. And again, you've forgotten something. The bad thing is that the extremists, who hide amongst the innocent, it could be as well. The very large majority of radicalization is very well studied. There's a subdomain of, I believe it would be political science or social science or something like this. But it's not, you have two subdomains. One is area studies, which can allow you to more deeply understand the economies and politics and lifestyles of places where extremism thrives and is fostered, whether it's for Islamic extremism or otherwise. That would be the point of an area study, and then of area studies. And then, you can just do security studies too. And so you can study extremism. You can look at the de-radicalization processes. You can study all kinds of stuff. So where there's a question, there's usually an answer, I guess, is the macro point, instead of there not being one, or something. Instead of there not being one, folks. Yeah. So they're basically Neanderthal that hasn't evolved mentally for hundreds of years. Same. That's a strong feeling about it. And so saying that our natural selves and biologies can be sick, this isn't a new idea. One example, and this is just social media, but the Lakota have a idea for God called the Great Mystery. Lakota is indigenous Native Americans in the US. And so with the Great Mystery, one can say, well, sick society, there is no mystery. Donald Trump's going to lie and produce war. Right? If you should be connected to this divine spirit, right? Obviously, you're not going to be better than it, but there is no mystery. There is no interesting, together sort of social. When we think of like socialized questions, how we use language, interact with each other, how we trade ideas in order to produce the violence and produce the things that we find valuable, that we relate our value to, and we say, well, this is, none of this is excusable uniformly, but there has to be some idea that, these things will be written about more. These things will be written about more. And so they're the most fruitful conversations. Well, if that's what Donald Trump's like, awesome. But if that isn't what international politics is like, and Donald Trump is leading that, there is no great mystery. There's no conversation, and so indigenous wisdom in the United States is part of American identity. Yes, America was built on stolen ground. There was no mystery. It was stolen, and so there was no conversation because it was stolen. And so does everyone need to learn how to speak like the Lakota, or speak like someone who feels a connection to the people around them, feels a connection to nature, feels a connection to the thing that seems to be beyond our immediate senses in a non sort of irrational sense, but in a sense that respects our human ontology? Who knows? Maybe, sure, have fun, but you also don't need that. We're in a society where you can eat a box of blue, good, expensive Kraft mac and cheese and have a decent night. Just don't hate someone else, right? Decent starting point. We can hope for more, but decent starting point, right? This is true all around the world. Great mystery. Lakota, great mystery. Yeah. Lakota, great mystery. Yeah. Don't forget the nukes, feller. Don't forget the SR-71 Blackbirds. Don't forget the Vantablack, particle detector, thereabouts. When they drop the schnizzle schnoots, they set it up so you got, an extra second of schnizzle schnooting, you got cold weather, rain barrier, Yeah, some would say it reminds you of Condoleezza Rice's The JJ when that missile takes off. Not a ton of people have seen it. She'd have it that way, given she was working and just given the way things were at the time. Good job. I'm sorry, guys. That was not funny. I'm new and I'm also agnostic. Cool. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, agnosticism's awesome. I was a big reader in college. I was one of the guys that took his homework seriously. And so agnostic meaning I also would have said I don't know if God exists, but I see no evidence for him. But agnostic also means that we can take that knowledge from a book and we can kind of trust it, right? And so if there is no textbook, there's no research on God, that is a good agnostic reason to be agnostic about God. Yeah, there's no credible evidence. So that's a cool comment, cool point. On the opposite side, I remember doing statistics that was replicating and duplicating some of the stuff that I read about when I was in college. So that was cool too, right? That's actual experience showing that the data and conclusions can be real, hands-on experience. And yeah, once again, I can do that very easily. I can't very easily Gnostically have an experience of God. Not really, right? I could try to force it, but if I have a Gnostic experience of the mystery of God, I've also had the Gnostic experience of being blackout drunk and then waking up and doing it again. So those are both Gnostic experiences. The latter one is also an indication of alcoholism, as it turns out. Yeah, Mazel tov, of course. Brother, you look like a Civil War cannon operator. Cool, that'd be dope. Yeah, that'd be dope. If I still look this way when I'm 40, that would also be dope. Yeah, cool, 9:45. I laughed, then he said it was fake news. I thought we were otherwise. Yeah. As long as the Quran calls them to kill others, there will be no peace for Muslim nations. Yeah. You want to, if you want to keep around that language, in what sense, right? Shouldn't you go fight, if you're that person, shouldn't you then go be fighting with you should be fighting people that want to fight infidels, right? You should be fighting people that want to fight non-Muslims, right? There's not very many, but shouldn't you be the one doing that? I don't think I want that. And there's lots of Muslims who don't use the term infidel or don't use it that often or don't, they'll use it in a scholarly context is what it was, right? So, bam, like Usain Bolt, bam. Oh, that's my daughter's an infidel. I remember that. Yeah, I do know this one. Yeah. That guy's daughter happened to be a crackhead, but my daughter's an infidel. I remember that one. Yeah, I'm not forgetting that one, right? because I know Buddy Guy is going to bring it up again. Oh man, that hurts the Buddhist in me. That hurts the Buddhist in me so bad, right? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Sick book, dude. Sick religion. This Muhammad guy, you want my honest opinion? Salam alaikum, alhamdulillah. The shahada is correct. A shahada, when you accept, this axiom or this truth that, there's a God, Allah, he's one, there's a oneness perhaps, and his prophet's Muhammad, and this is an epistemic backing to Qurans and surahs all over the world, to doing your prayers, to doing pilgrimages, to celebrating Ramadan, and to viewing your community this way. Cool. But that Muhammad guy, as beautiful as that was, he loved touching on little kitties and writing poetry about it, right? And then he would go shame people, and he would celebrate beating them in public, and then he would go touch on more little kitties, and then he would yell at the kitties not for getting touched on, but he would, wampusing onto little ones. But after he was done wampusing onto little ones, he would write poetry and say, hey, you stole my television, you skunky, you wampus little one. So that Mo guy, real good fella, right? Boy, man. Where is your evidence of this? Yeah, it's in the book, dude. Reckon it is. Yeah, you want to talk about the other side of that one, the Christian equation? Hell yeah, brother. Why don't you go start that one up, right? No, it's not leveraged, right? Stay out of my civilization. Don't talk about my civilization, guys. I'm not going back into this again. Your religion doesn't belong in my civilization, right? If you want to do a brunch in, if you guys want to do a debate session and you want to talk about the facts and evidences that you have, you want to talk about your opinion, you want to talk about a faith-based belief, and you want to talk about why you think your belief is justified, that's cool. But if you want to put one of your batshit crazy politicians in office, I don't care. I don't care. Preacher Dave, Mullah Abdullah, or whoever it is, Mullah John, preacher, whoever it is, preacher Fateh, I don't give a fuck who it is. Stay the fuck out of my civilization. You guys ain't got streets, you ain't got computers, you ain't got fucking microphones, you ain't got pictures on the wall. You guys don't have shit. That's all my shit. You guys don't have shit. Stay the fuck out of my civilization. Absolute bullshit. You guys want to put a bunch of, little ped-pred PDF in the worst sense, right? These guys celebrated hundreds of thousands of instances, millions of instances, thousands of years of history of this little touching on little whittle wampus, bullshit, fucking writing goddamn hymnals and poetry and, giving people plaques and, celebrating, giving speeches to them and stuff. Stay out of my civilization. You guys had your go. The poly canon, just as fucking stupid. Stay out of my civilization. Go rent a fucking classroom. You guys aren't patriots. You guys are not nationalists. You guys are not cosmopolitans. This is fucking bullshit. Rent a room at the fucking library and do your bullshit, right? I don't want you in policy. I don't want you in Congress. I don't want you near the White House. I don't want you protesting an abortion clinic. I don't want you impacting women's health. I don't want you anywhere near my fucking kids' school, my fucking the teachers in my community. Stay the fuck out of my civilization. Get out. I don't want any of it. I don't want you telling me that Christianity and Islam are these bridges to the global community. Go fuck yourself. Hey, chill out, Letty. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm higher than a giraffe. Whatever. Cool. Yeah. Someone's saying, yeah, whatever. I have an embarrassing story. Cool. Mellow Squad, if you want to tell your story, that's cool. Yeah. 6'7", yeah, 6'7", right? Capitalism works well when risk is baked into it. And yeah. I don't think BRICS is pricing risk in because they need to sell their little dumb flat, hairdo factory system to Western countries. But even more so, right? If we're just looking at just the question, I believe in two-party system, America is rigged, and both sides are two sides of the same coin. Both sides are two sides. I mean, what sides, right? The sides of Ivy League, old world, primary, foundational economy, Washington, federalized, securitized sort of production systems in the US. Yeah, like the funny thing is those companies wouldn't really care if you bought less of their products, right? Their role as a fiduciary is inclusive of these what you might say are strategic levers that are not anti-fiduciary, but are themselves just what the macroeconomic schema is like. And so when you say, well, those same levers then include the forces on top, like risk, like both economics as well as political risks and stuff. Yeah, I'm not, obviously the US is a very inefficient economy in some sense. And it is not a sustainable or circular economy, but this circular economy stuff is also a bit of a scam. So, whatever. Why don't you move to China and let the one party system have you? The uniparty, bro. The uniparty, man. Hell yeah, brother. You're describing crony capitalism without saying it. It could be, if you're talking about personalities going through and doing the work. But also people shouldn't really care about either profit. People shouldn't have a why. People shouldn't have a why about profit motives. Right? They should not have a standalone why about profit motives outside of management. And management is actually super easy and simple, right? It's not that hard to manage a company. It's harder to figure out a management strategy in that time, and it's harder to build the corporate strategy or the financial, like the products and marketing strategy. Those things are a little harder. And so saying that you have to go work and find those whys is more efficient because it's less wasteful. It puts more useful information. It's more transparent with the marketplace. And then you also, like, a good reason to have a why about these other factors is because they get in the way of you doing that. If you have bad pricing signals, bad consumer signals, you don't have a good view on what's going to happen, it makes it more difficult to place larger bets. And I know a lot of this sounds like internet wisdom and stuff like this, but it's also biological and psychological. You have a why you decided on, and then the actual why of the world, as much of it as you can access, just disappeared. Apparently it just disappeared, right? And so an easy way to sort of burn that bridge down is to just say, well, there's 15 big ways I can see my company, and there's 15 small ways I can see my company. And so if I'm a CEO or I'm on a board or I'm an investor, this bucket of 30 ways I can see things all have things that are not about me, and I can focus on those. So cool. So I'm not a businessman. No, that's what a professional does. That's what a person does. So capitalism, exploitative, capitalism, wasteful. Capitalism also provides a lot of really sick, cool opportunities, and we should work together to come up with these equal sum solutions that are based on rational things, not based on nonsense, right? So if we're lying about the big system, okay, why is that, right? People lie to build the big system, or I'm lying about the big system. That is my scam, right? I will think about that. I'm a scam artist. Speaking of scams, if somebody wants to send a nice super chat, that would be cool. Obviously, I came on today because I wanted to be able to talk to you guys. I like being able to talk to people all around the world, and I like being able to talk to people everywhere, all around the world and stuff. It seemed, my guess is we had more of a US and Canadian audience. But yeah, super chats, memberships help keep the channel, help keep me fed and stuff like that. I don't get paid right away. So it's always appreciated. It's $1 or $2 here or there, adds up over the course of a month. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know, James. I don't know how to answer that. It is efficient in sense of like pricing information and adapting to changes happens very fast in the U.S. economy, and it's supported by what still appears to be a very healthy monetary and fiscal system. One of the healthiest and the best that civilization has had in terms of the performance of the system. When you think about managing disruption, who knows? Are we supposed to be getting more foundational, or there's some story here with this? I don't buy it. If you didn't start considering the exploitation in that economy, you're not going to get it up. This is whale blubber, right? To me, the funny thing is that we use whale blubber and kerosene oil to light cities for a long time, but we didn't understand like this energy density that it had. We just knew we could burn it. And so when people burnt their house down or burnt an entire town or city down, it's kind of funny because that's also what whale blubber did. And so the wishful thinking is that, well, if you can burn down, you can light your home and burn down an entire city or town with whale blubber or kerosene. And I don't know if that's TOS because we're talking about like history, but you can also say that disruption being absorbed by another industries like whale blubber and that you don't actually know the impact of it. And if you didn't start to understand the impact and why you're making the change, we all know everybody already knows, if you don't know, then you're not playing the game, right? So you don't know, right? And so it is a little bit like that with the deep state, with Goldman Sachs, hedge funds, non-correlated types investments, the big movers and shakers in New York City, San Francisco, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, huge FDI producers, huge FDI consumers. They always know some of this little stuff like this. But yeah, whale blubber is just this like very complex example of something small that you can change your opinion about it. Progressivism equals lower birth rates and patriarchal domination. Hey, that is some Texas tea, right? Yeah, give me a double shot in that one, brother. I don't know. That's a pretty strong argument or a strong statement, I would say. As a progressive, I think I don't see how politics were a partisan, I would say not ideology, but maybe a slight ideology, but a partisan way to approach bureaucracy is probably a little more accurate from my perspective. I don't see how partisanship and sort of like policy perspectives I don't see how that has to do with individual choices about health and building a family. And then I also don't necessarily see what that has to do with patriarchy, right? Saying it's soy or it's femme or something like this. Maybe I don't totally understand. But yeah, if you can speak in terms of the blue collar working class, and then you presume corporatism and some level of policy will produce more fair outcomes, right? Without one sweeping change at once, basically what progressivism is, then that's cool, right? And so, the other way, I think the block that you have that I don't have about progressivism is that maintaining a social safety net is progressive, right? Maintaining a social safety net is progressive if you accept that civil rights struggles stretch at least 7 or 8 decades, and could be longer, right? Don't be happy with that pace or that status quo, but progressivism also can just keep things the way they are. And society just naturally evolves and adapts, not because of technology on its own, but just because of society, magical thinking, right? Magical thinking. Because if they don't want you, they want you to block this stuff up or something. They don't want you to be as honest as you can be, whoever they are, that doesn't make any sense to me. That sounds like it's defeatism. Like it sounds counterfactual. Sorry, my phone froze for a second. Make America, someone says he wants to, I don't know what it says. YouTube blocked that, Mr. Harris, so I can't read all of the words that you said there. Do you guys think America should be less gay? I don't think so. I don't think you get a vote, first of all. Second of all, regarding just the presence of gayness and people that identify as gay and wish to publicly identify themselves as part of the LGBTQIA community, that just is, I would presume that just shapes up. And I'd also presume that, no amount of burning coal, no amount of coal burning and retrofitting power plants to burn more coal is going to change sort of the way schools raise our kids, Stunky. Whoa, cool. Awesome. Hey, I see you, James. Thanks, dude. I'll get down to the super chat in just a minute. That's awesome. It's very exciting to see, dude. Thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Your beard looks like, yeah, beards are pubic hair, right? They don't come in until puberty, and so yeah, very cool. Yeah, so very cool, very cool. What's the most progressive state in the United States? Well, right now it's New York, right? New York is saying that we're so progressive that we can get behind democratic socialism. Yeah. And so in practice, it is a democratic means of increasing access and solving inefficiencies that exist in like distribution, if you want to say. So New York still qualifies. Yeah. Historically, Vermont had Bernie for a long time, despite being a fairly well-to-do state. So that's pretty cool, right? Bernie Sanders. Illinois has a lot of farmers, and so Illinois, like the big city Chicago, is obviously dominated by Democratic voters and has been for a while, I believe. But yeah, Illinois, Chicago, and yeah. What else? California. Portland, Oregon. Oregon's cool. A bunch of hipsters and tech businesses. Both are there. Yeah, so techno punk hippies and stuff. Bible Nut's been saying end times 100 years back. 100 years back. Yeah, cool. Yeah, are you guys on Facebook or TikTok or anything? Facebook or TikTok? March Boogie DeMonsta says, I think all gay people are going to hell, blocked by YouTube. Yeah, Charlie Kirk said the same thing. He said, go read Leviticus. Yeah, you're this hero, this Charlie Kirk guy, traitor to the United States in his life. Obviously, respect to him and his family. I never advocate violence against anyone. But yeah, Charlie, because he's known, did say that in the United States, Charlie said that we should read the book of Leviticus to learn about gay people. Cool. All right. That sounds fair is fair, right? Right is right, brother. Right is right, brethren. Ain't that right? Yeah. You waste my time. Do I waste your time? James sends in the big $2. Thank you so much, James. James Longhurst. Yeah, super chats go a long way for me. And so thanks. Yeah, I love streaming just to stream, love having a conversation, something cool to work on and all this stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Super chats, memberships, super stickers. I like super stickers because like James Super Chat, they do something cool in chat and keep the conversation going forward too. So if you guys want to have a message read on screen, super chats are a great way for me to kind of pause the stream, slow down. I can read your message, read a question, a comment, an opinion. And not doing a debate or anything unless you want that, but really just engage the conversation where we are. But super stickers are also super cool. You guys can see there's Jewel gifts enabled. That's another cool YouTube feature. Those things all help the channel. They help me in the algorithm, and they help me ultimately pay my bills and buy food, right? I'm not living in exorbitant luxury, but neither are a lot of people. And so, yeah, don't listen to me. If I'm asking for money, just don't listen, dude. Stare into the bright light, bro. Yeah. But if you guys know of, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, if you guys know of a wealthy sugar daddy or sugar mama that doesn't want to touch me and will not let, and I don't touch them, that's also cool too, Shout out. That's how some of the greats have done it, Not just Dahmer and Gacy, but, some of the big YouTube channels. They've gotten the sugar daddies in place, as it were. You should live in Iran, buddy. Yeah, invest. I would, if Donald Trump wasn't thinking about bombing the place, who knows? Go do, I would tell them, look, I'd love to learn about Iran and Persia, Persian culture. I'd love to learn about Shia Islam. I'd love to learn about your society, the best aspects you'd like to show me, the things you guys aren't super jacked about, things you wish people would talk about in a fair way. And I'd love to come learn. And when I come back, I'll tell my friends and family. I'll tell my friends and family what I learned. I will read my own Western books and try to understand how to contextualize what I saw. Fly me out to Tehran, no problem, buddy. But yeah, when you say there's this global war, when everyone is under suspicion, there's no trustworthiness, and when there's there's no inference possible, right? There's no explanation and there's no inference possible that it's safe for you and your family, and it's safe for you to tell me these things. It's possible, even, right? It's possible we could both think clearly. Of course, we're tough people. We're humans. We would learn a lot from each other. But yeah, do we not want to have a rational conversation to some extent? Do we not want to be able to do a structured or ordered exploration of each other's ideas and the whatnot? That seems a lot more desirable. And it seems like this is a way to move forward, being honest about stuff too, being honest, having some wisdom about it. Being honest about stuff. I'm not high. Lots of good comments, guys. I'm going to scroll down I'm not too far up, but I'm going to scroll down to try and catch up. So good comments. If you guys are enjoying the stream, thank you. Consider hitting the like button. And if you get bored, you can go read some of the other comments, say something. I'm not going to understand all the context, but I can try to kind of talk through some of the stuff you guys say. I don't know. It's what we do here. It's funny how these guys don't figure out that every gay person on earth was born from a man and a woman. Yeah, that's certainly true. That's certainly true, Yeah. Yep, that is, there's a lot of different biological processes that make a baby, not just the one. And yeah, just like there's a lot of probably a lot of biological processes that form a psychology, those two. Yeah, those two. Those are also true. Zero Legacy, I'm going to delete that comment. I don't want to engage race realism here. I don't want to engage racial realism on the channel. Your whole family hates this race. Someone's whole family hates something. I think it is possible to use language that actually applies itself to science and technology and modern era, and speaks toward how language in society was meant to use language. I don't think we have to invent things like racial realism because we don't understand the way to say it the right way, And so saying that somebody does something that doesn't make a ton of sense is just, to me saying that, well, I don't understand the Swahili language. I don't understand, the cultures around the Nile Basin, 2,000 years ago. Okay, cool. Maybe I don't either, but that doesn't mean I get to voice a bigoted or biased opinion, or encourage someone else to do encouraging someone else to do the same. I think, right? Two different gods. God, no, it's not. Stop freaking trolling me. Stop the freaking troll, dude. Hey, heck yeah. Thanks for the hundreds, bro. Bop, 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 bop. 100. Thanks. Appreciate it, dude. Shout out. $8, baby. The suicidal empathy with progressive leftism is honestly pathetic. Yeah. Schwish-sidal. Yeah. I think I have to delete that message too, pertaining to terms of service. But yeah, I'm scrolling down just a little bit. What's your opinion on Israel, especially Zionism? Who was that? Yeah, thanks, JustMoo. Appreciate the 100. Jewel, thank you. Appreciate it, dude. That's awesome. What's your viewpoint on Israel, especially Zionism, as of now? I don't know. I don't think political ideologies are going to be capable. If you say it's a philosophy or an ideology, or you can detangle those two components, cool. Everyone has them, right? I think it's less of a driver than some people think, and I disagree with these Christendom Israeli narratives, right? Saying that people in the United States are delusional, whatever. Maybe you don't like it, but okay. There you go. The Catholic Church loves something or something, though. Yeah, lots of scandals in the Catholic Christian religion. Lots and lots of scandals like that. Jesus is the way. My phone's at 5%, guys. I gotta shut this stream down. Thank you. Consider subscribing. Consider a like. If any of you guys want to consider supporting the channel later on, thank you. But more than anything, yeah, thank you so much for showing up today in the here and now to our channel. This is Dux Y, politics, philosophy, religion. I know I'm not always the most exciting person, but I love reading your comments. I love trying to share my knowledge. I try to work on the art and craft of streaming as often and when I can. Yeah, and it's one of the most important parts of my day, and it's important because of you guys. Yeah, thanks again, James, for the super chat. Thanks again for sending the bits, the jewels, as well. And yeah, I hope to see you guys again, and I will talk to all of you guys some other time. Take care. Good night.